The theory of software is that you build it once, you never have to touch it, and it should run at 95% margins forever. Now, the reality of software is that's never how it's actually been. If you look at all the public software multiples or companies, they all have tons of services, they all have tons of forked code. And one interesting fact during this era is SaaS multiples have, in the public markets, gone from 20x to 10x in the last 3 years because they've tried to become profitable. Software actually struggles to get profitable. AI is not that. I think there are a couple big differences with AI. One, more consumption-based, unit-based revenue rather than pure platform fees. Two, you do have more ongoing costs tied to compute. So there's huge variation in that. There are some companies, like many of the coding apps, that have very large amounts of compute for their revenue. Enterprise companies are using more inference-based, so compute is kind of single-digit percentages of their revenue, but that is an ongoing cost. And then AI does have more configuration and forward-deployed engineering around it too. We do all our own configuration and forward-deployed engineering because you can't just sell a box and say, this is my AI box, take it. You have to configure it and make it customized to the individual company. So like say you're in InsurTech, and that insurance, the piece of insurance technology would do one thing. What you'd have is like an Accenture or a Cognizant would come in, and they would do all the data linkages to map to the schema and stand up your box. You can't really do that in AI because usually the workflow, if you take something, I'll take insurance, like claims processing, very specific to the institution. You're generating something that's not just numbers. It may be like a 20-page document or a 30-page document. It requires training, reinforced learning, validation, and a lot of workflow customization. And so when we do a deployment, we actually start by putting 3 to 4 engineers usually, or 2 to 4 engineers on site at the client premise, physically in person, sitting next to them embedded, and stand up the application there. And then it becomes software over time, but it does start with configuration. The evolution of that is you can't rely on a services vendor to do that work for you. I do think that's one of the differences. AI has had much more forward-deployed engineering, is you need to control your own customer relationship to get it stood up. And so I think in many ways the big lie of software over the last 20 years is it's not a single monoline tool. It ends up becoming 50 very custom tools, which require a lot of support, customization, and are really, really hard to update every year, which is why you have so much legacy. 70% of the software in the world is over 20 years old, and most of it is terrible. We're thinking about building something that 5, 10 years from now, we want lots of recurring revenue, customers that are very happy, a really good team. I spend a ton of my time thinking about recruiting. Capital allocation is less important than recruiting elite people, particularly in the AI world. If you can recruit the best engineers, they will find the things to build. Our view is long-term, sustainable enterprise value, recurring revenue, happy customers. That is the North Star. And everything in between doesn't matter. Look at the stats right now, 5% of models in enterprise make it to production right now. So you actually have a huge adoption problem or capability problem in enterprise, and the only way to solve that is really good sellers or people who know sector experts, forward-deployed engineering, good product leaders. I think humans are gonna be more and more important to get enterprise AI working. So again, maybe in consumer, but absolutely not in enterprise. I think these teams will look actually maybe even bigger than some of the traditional early teams in SaaS. I go back to the idea, the number one differentiator in AI right now is recruiting. The rate of, particularly if you're using the coding tools, which are, if you have great engineers and coding tools, you are a 10, 20, 30x faster builder than any traditional software team. So I think that's why I'm emphasizing recruiting so much is if you find the right people, the velocity you get from those people is infinite in the current technology environment. And that is a function of the tools available now.